boxing fans here with Ben. Shalom, Ben. We've just seen Lawrence Okolie get the decision win against David Light. Just talk to me about that. You know, a lot of mixed reactions ringside about the performance. Lawrence has come out and said, listen, it's been a long time out for me. I felt the ring rust, but there's more coming forward. What did you make of Lawrence's performance?
Look, it was a fight we had to do. It was a mandatory, and it was against one of the toughest guys out there. And from speaking to the heavyweight sparring he's had, from speaking to Brandon Glanton, from seeing his amateur record, this guy is really, really hard to hurt. And I thought he had him out of there 3 times. Of course, it wasn't the performance and statement that he wanted with the knockout that we wanted, that Sugar Hill wants, that the fans want. But it was a big test, 13 months out of the ring, in a mandatory defence at this level, trying out new things when you're defending your world title. That's difficult. I'm proud of him because it's a lot of pressure on him, a lot of scrutiny, a lot of criticism, and for us it was about getting through this fight, so because of what's coming.
Talking about scrutiny, obviously the fans booed at times. We heard a few boos. I've not heard much of that in the UK, but there was a few booing. What did you make of the booing?
Look, I'm a fan as well, so I think it was very, very small number, but they want to see knockouts. I don't think it's personal. They want statements. They're desperate for world champions, British world champions, to put on things on the line and be aggressive and go for a knockout. And I think they're frustrated at times, and so will fans be. But selfishly, and I know it is very selfishly, I'm glad he got 12 rounds because he's seen where he's at now, fitness-wise, everything, trying out new things. He's got so much to work on, go back to the drawing board. And before a unification or before a biggest fight of his life against Richard Riakporhe, which it really would be, he'll be very glad of that. And sometimes you've got to come through tough moments for what's to come next.
Matt for Boxing Social. Ben, are you quite sort of proud with how well he's dealt with the pressure? Because you mentioned there obviously a new trainer, but obviously a new trainer, new management team, new promotional team, back on Sky. Yeah. A lot of stuff going on outside the ring, which seems to never be ending for him. So are you more than happy with the way he's dealt with that, bringing that pressure to the ring, and ultimately at least getting the win?
Yeah, he's a young man. And he has to put up with a lot, and this sport is so unforgiving at times. I've never seen so much hatred towards certain things, and it's hard, and it has been difficult for him, but the way he deals with it, broad shoulders, world title, world champion, and dominated every single round. Yes, as I say, not the performance he wanted, but an absolute display of perhaps why he'll be the hardest cruiserweight to beat in the world. Yes, didn't get what he wanted, 30 months out of the ring, a lot of pressure, but yeah, proud of him.
He mentioned when we spoke to him, he signed to fight X amount of people, and he said, you need to ask Ben, I asked him who's Richard Riakporhe next. He goes, ask Ben. He said, I've signed to fight him. What is next for him?
He is right, and that's what's so good about Lawrence. It's whatever name now we give him. He's signed for every single fight. Yeah. So it's exciting to be able to just choose one. Everyone wants to fight him. He's the world champion, and he's the biggest name probably in the whole of the cruiserweight division now. So everyone wants him. Everyone wants that chance at the world title, and we'll choose the biggest fight out there. So for me, it's a unification or Richard Riakporhe.
We spoke about a mini tournament before in the main press conference. You know, Jay Opata is free agent. We've got Chris Benham-Smith, who's with yourself, Richard Riakporhe. Lawrence Okolie, it's easy to make, man. What's going on? Is that what you're looking at? Are you looking at a mini tournament possibly?
I think so. I think we want to make sure it's obvious what's happening, and there's no ducking, and everyone's going to fight each other. And luckily, because Chris has had the development that he's had, and he's now getting to that world level, and he's ready, and he's got the stadium fight. Richard Riakporhe similarly has just had the phenomenal development over the past 18 months, from almost British level to now world level, and Lawrence has just done his mandatory. They're all ready to go. So for me, I'm very happy with tonight because we had to get the mandatory out. It was the only thing left to do.
Ben, there's so many fighters in this division. In the domestic scene, we've got Chris Benham-Smith, we've got Richard Riakporhe, and then the international level, we've obviously got Jai Opata. But a fight that we're not particularly talking about is Badou Jack. And from a legacy perspective, a three-weight world champion now. And would this be something that Boxer would be interested in to cement Lawrence as undeniably the best cruiserweight on the planet?
I think we would absolutely love that fight, as would Chris, as would Richard. But I think we'd have to pay I don't think there's any amount of money we can pay that is going to convince Badou Jack to fight Lawrence Okolie. Any amount of money, and that's just the facts of it.
Ben, is that because he's tied in Saudi Arabia? From what we're hearing in regards to reports, he's got some sort of deal in Saudi Arabia where he's fighting out there, which means he's probably getting paid a lot of money.
I think it's part. I think some people say there was a rematch clause in that voluntary defence from Makabu, and also I think I just know, and we work in boxing. We know how these things work. I think there's no amount of money that Badou Jack would fight Lawrence Okolie for.
You've now got this scenario where we mentioned a tournament, but you've got a narrative to go with it. The Riakporhe fight, the Creed movie set, the kick-off there. You've got a former stablemate, someone who he classes as a friend for Lawrence Okolie and Chris Billam-Smith. How pleased are you with sort of how the stars have aligned for you in terms of not just the fights because they're the best fighting the best, but you've got that bit of background, bit of meat on the bone for it as well?
We've worked hard for it, but all the fighters have had to do it. Chris Billam-Smith's had to come through such a gruelling war with Isaac Chamberlain in Bournemouth, one of the fights of the year. Then he's had to have that real knockout that he had in December, which was incredible. Richard Riakporhe's had to work so hard to late bloomer. Started boxing late and has had to learn on the job and develop into one of the most feared cruiserweights in the world, and Lawrence Okolie's had to do his job. So yes, it's been a lot of hard work. The stars have aligned. We have a division that is on fire, and there's some serious rivalries. Obviously Chris is with Shane McGuigan, and there's just a lot of things going on, and it's exciting to be able to sit down without politics and just go, right, this is the best thing that can happen.
You mentioned there that Badou Jack requires a lot of money to fight Lawrence Okolie, and that's perhaps because of his frightening power. But Lawrence himself doesn't want that money necessarily. He cares about legacy, and he cares about giving back to the grassroots game, because this week he was down at Wharton ABC helping out the youngsters, and now that Boxer have signed a long-term partnership with Maverick Stars. So I want to know what it means to you and to Lawrence about helping the sport going forward.
I think that for us, that's what we stand for. I think that's how we try to put on the shows. I think that's our goal, is to try and make the sport a better place, to try and connect the amateur sport closer to the professional sport. As we develop it, we now have the power to be able to do the change that we want. And Lawrence, he'll do it. He does his work behind the scenes, but my God, I don't think I've ever worked with a boxer that does more behind the scenes for causes that he believes in. And he's a special guy like that. He really is, and a fantastic world champion, fantastic ambassador for the sport, fantastic personality, and look to do some more with him going forward.
Just time for one more, please, guys.
Ben, just wanted to get your opinion on the potential of Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. being made outside the UK before any sort of conclusiveness with regards to the investigation. What's your thoughts on that?
I'm surprised at the relaxed nature, not only from the people in boxing around. I would like to see Conor Benn fight again because I'm a boxing fan, but I think it should be dealt with properly first before we even discuss. And I'm surprised about the relaxed nature now towards drugs in boxing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cheers, Ben.
That's it,
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Ben.
Can I ask you one more?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
It's just this one more. It's fine. It's fine.
Go one more. That's it. One.
We spoke about.
It's going to be a horrible one.
No, we spoke about promoter jibes before. It seems like the people have been watching you whilst watching the show tonight, whilst you've been rolling. Frank Warren's tweeted, and they're saying that if you want to watch boxing with some atmosphere, watch Moses the Tuma. That was whilst the show was going on. I spoke to you before about this. Do you like this? Do you like that promoters are watching your shows? Obviously, attention on you guys. Sky Sports, big platform. They're tweeting whilst the live show's going on.
To be honest, we're just happy to be in the conversation. We respect all both the other promoters, and it's crazy for me. It's like crazy to even be in a situation where Frank and Eddie, promoters that we've grown up watching, are making comments, and to be honest, it's all good natured sometimes, and I think we're trying to stay out of it, and we're just so happy that we're in this position where people even looking at what we're doing. I mean, it was a long time where no one even knew who we were. So amazing to now be in a position where people are looking at what we're doing, and we'll continue to work hard.
Ben Shalom, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.